Hello everybody, it's Josie here. I'm going to be doing a quick, if you like this, you might like that style video today. So, the video is featuring kind of cool, kick-ass women main character books, which is something that I love, and something that I read a lot of. And I just thought that if you like some of these new releases, you might like some other books that kind of have a similar vein. So, the way I do this, it doesn't necessarily mean the storyline's exactly the same, but it's kind of more of a feeling, a nuance, something about the book that reminds me of another book, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm going today. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So this is obviously a new release. This is a very big release for Leigh Bardugo. I know there's a lot of Leigh Bardugo fans out there. I will be honest, I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone years ago. And it was okay, but I never carried on with the series, so, take that as you will. But then when I saw the synopsis for this, I was like, okay, this sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. So this book is very dark. It features Alex, your main character, who is very morally grey. She is in, I think it's Yale University, and there's kind of secret societies in the university, and these secret societies use magic, they use ghosts, they use rituals, and she's kind of part of a society that sort of oversees these secret societies and tries to make sure that they don't go completely rogue and off-piste when they're doing their kind of rituals, and they're meant to sort of govern them. And there's a lot of kind of dark elements of this book. There's a lot of things that happen that are really dark and spooky and kind of also morally dark. And I loved it. I love that whole atmosphere. I love really fucked up grey characters that are not your stereotypical good guy, bad guy, or good girl, bad girl in this scenario. And I like that whole kind of dark atmosphere of this book. So, and one of the other things I loved is the college setting of this book. So this book is obviously set at college. And I love books that are set in kind of school settings, whether it be college, whether it be high schools, boarding schools, training schools. I like school settings as well. So that's something I like about this book. So, if you like Ninth House, then you might want to pick up a book that I just read that I'm going to be doing an individual review on, which is this one, The URIs by Katie Lowe. Katie Lowe's book, this is a debut book for the author. I haven't read anything about it. And Katie Lowe has written a book that I absolutely love. So this one is kind of the YA version. So I would say Ninth House is more adult. This is a YA book. This is set at high school, so not at college. But you've got this group of girls that, so you've got a new girl that comes into this quite posh kind of school in the UK. And she meets a group of girls and she's kind of pulled into a it's a bit like a secret society. There's only 5 of them. They study art, so it's all centered around art, and they have this teacher who teaches them about female artists, and it's all kind of centered around, it's very feminist, kind of centered around kind of strong female mythology and art, and it's really interesting that she's kind of pulled into this circle of these girls, and this book was described as kind of the craft, sort of a bit like The Craft, which is one of my all-time favorite books, and I get that because, again, there's kind of magic involved, there's rituals involved, there's revenge involved, very morally grey characters, and there's some really dark scenes in this book, and it really just gave me that same kind of vibe, that dark, wonderful, crazy, witchy. I loved it. I absolutely love this book. So I think if you like The Furies, you might like Ninth House. That's more the adult version. If you like Ninth House, you might like The Furies. The other book that I would recommend, actually, if you like The Furies, is a book called Bunny by Mona Awad. I don't have a physical copy currently. I'm procuring one because I listened to it on audiobook and I loved it. And again, it's this group of girls and they're more like at a college. And again, it's to do with writing, so sort of more artistic, and they have this really fucked up, weird, crazy society thing going on, and there's rituals and there's darkness, and yeah. So if you liked The Furies, I think you'd like Bunny by Mona Awad or Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Then the next one, let's move away from the darkness. Kind of. So one of the new releases that I've recently read is The Last True Poets of the Sea, and this is by Julia Drake. This is gorgeous. So This is a story about a girl who is sent back to her parents' hometown, this little kind of seaside hometown, because her brother has tried to commit suicide, and she has been very troubled. She's been running around, she's been getting into trouble, she's been hooking up with people, you know, drinking, just kind of perpetuating that sort of bad girl stereotype. And what her parents decide to do is send her back to the kind of their hometown. And she goes to go work in the aquarium in this hometown, and she meets a group of people. She meets a boy there, but she also meets a girl, and she makes these friends. And it's really sort of this exploration of kind of growing up, coming of age, finding who you are, grief, dealing with family issues. There is kind of a mystery element involved around this town, but I would say it's really a character study, which I love. And it also has this gorgeous kind of ocean narrative through it. So obviously she works in the aquarium. You've got, there's a storyline about how this town was founded, and it was founded by like her great grandparents due to a shipwreck. And there's all this kind of imagery around the ocean around it, which I really loved. And I think if you like that, you will probably like The Gloaming by Kirsty Logan. Now, Kirsty Logan, this book is an adult book, whereas this one is classed as a YA book. But the bits that I think you would like is that this is also set on an island. You have a family, you have two sisters. And again, you have one of the sisters. So what I did mention, sorry, is that this is queer. So the main character in this book, she starts to fall for a girl in this town. And you've got the same thing here. You've got two sisters, and one of them is falling for this wonderful, mysterious girl that kind of rocks up on this little island that they live in. There's a more magical realism element in this book. Lost Repose of the Sea is very much contemporary, but there's only a smidgen of that. So the story that I love magical realism mixed in with contemporary anyway, but you've got this beautiful story again of family commitments, of dealing with what your family think, of coming out, of coming of age, of finding who you love, you know, kind of growing into yourself, all set with this ocean imagery, this lovely little town kind of stuck in the middle of the sea. It's beautiful, and I think that if you like this, you'll like that, and if you like this, you'll like that. And then the last recommendation I've got here is this book over here. It's Gideon the Ninth. So Gideon the Ninth, sorry, it's by Tamsin Muir, is, again, a new release, one that I absolutely loved. And the tagline for this one is always, lesbian necromancers in space. So it's kind of sci-fi, kind of dystopian. You have a tournament going on, and it's like a necromancy tournament, and you have Gideon the Ninth, who is sent with Harrow the Ninth, who is actually the necromancer. Gideon is like the bodyguard, kind of protector for Harrow, and she is very queer, which I love. This book has kind of snarky elements to it, which I love. It has kind of tournament elements to it, which I love, and I love the whole kind of sci-fi dystopian setting of this book. So I thought, if you love this book, one of the recommendations I've gotten that's actually stuck behind my tree here is the Nevernight series. So if you haven't read Nevernight, I think you would really love that. So Nevernight is about an assassin, Mia Colvert, and she wants to avenge her family's death. And in the first book, it's a series of 3 books. In the first book, she goes off to assassin school. And in the second book, kind of mirroring kind of the tournament-y style of this, is God's Grave, which is, there's almost like a gladiatorial tournament going on and fighting, and I think that kind of mirrors a little bit of what happens here with the necromancy tournament in Gideon the Ninth. So I think that, you know, again, if you like Nevernight, you like Gideon the Ninth. If you like Gideon the Ninth, you would like the Nevernight Chronicles. The other book that I think you may like, and this is kind of more to do with, again, and Nevernight, again, queer, bisexual characters in here, is The Never Tilting World by Rinch Pecco. This one, you don't have the tournament setting, but you have this kind of crazy dystopian world. You have some great world building. You have kind of this world that doesn't tilt, so these two sides of it. One that's really dry and arid, the other one that's cold as ice. And you have these two kind of ruling goddesses, and what I love is that you've got these powerful women in both of these, all 3 of these series of these books, and you've got these there was like an event that happened, and you've got these two goddesses' daughters sort of both traveling to kind of the center of this earth to try and see if they can fix it. And there's kind of a journey involved in it. There's kind of fighting. There's relationships. There's a queer female romance. There's a straight romance in here, which is actually really sweet. And I kind of think if you like elements of Gideon the Ninth and Nevernight, you would like this, because it's the writing also kind of makes me, although it's sci-fi, it's dystopian, but it's almost like contemporary in nature, the writing, which I really loved about this one as well. So that one it's just really good. I really enjoyed that. So yes, so those are my recommendations. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you would recommend any other books based on the ones that I talked about. And I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.